Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and today's Friday, August 8th, and it is a lovely afternoon. We're back out on my porch. Apologies in advance for any road noise. I can't control that, but I wanted to be out here because it's just lovely. I've recorded this 3 times, and I'm trying again because various and sundry things keep happening, but we're going to give it one more go and hope that it works out. I want to welcome you if you are a new viewer. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. I do have a lot of crafty endeavors to share with you, and I hope you'll enjoy seeing them. If you are a return viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you watched the last episode, I apologize for my very abrupt chaos at the end. I know some people saw that, and I think maybe some people didn't watch to the very end because they thought when I very abruptly shut off the camera in a panic that they thought that was the end, and it wasn't. I did actually come back and explain what happened, but everything was fine. It was just my husband had been out with the trailer, and when he came in through the driveway through the gate, he swung a little too wide, and the trailer had hit the post on the one side of the fence, and that's when I had to turn off the camera and go help him. But it was fine. Everything was good. No damage, no significant damage to anything. So anyway, he's also out right now, and I'm hoping that he can come back in without any to do this time. Anyway, you will find show notes as always in the drop down menu below. Just click where it says more below the video here on YouTube. You find show notes, timestamps to everything I'm talking about. There are project links, links to project pages both on Ravelry and on my project blog, which is called My Favorite Day. If there's anything that I talk about and I do not have in the show notes, feel free to leave a comment and I will answer you as soon as I can. There are links to everything else going on, links to Ravelry pages, links to my website, to my blog, all the links in the show notes below. There's also a membership here on YouTube if you'd like to get some extra monthly content. I do a members video once a month, and then I've also been doing some members posts a few times a month about different topics. So if you'd like to check that out, please do. That's also below. I do have some very specific announcements. A lot of them are shop related right now, and it's lengthy. That's why I'm re-recording this, because it made the podcast way too long to include all of this. But I do want to let you know about some shop stuff. I have a new club coming this fall. Sign-ups are in the shop now. You can join now. It's called the Artistic License Yarn and Fiber Club, and it is inspired by the rabbit hole of drawing and painting that I went down earlier this year. It was such a fun, creative whim that I went on, and I didn't realize how much fun it was going to be to play with color in that way. And as I started playing with color through painting, I thought this would be so much fun to use some of these paintings as inspiration for new colorways. And so that is the whole concept behind this club. There will be member participation because for each shipment, you as a member will have a chance to vote on which painting is going to be used as the inspiration for that shipment's colorway. So you can read all about that in the shop. The signups for this club will be open through August 20th, and the club will start shipping in October, the second half of October. I realize that's kind of a big gap between signups and when the first shipment goes out. I don't usually have that big of a gap, but I'm going to be out of town for 3 weeks in between now and then, and so I need that extra time to get everything organized and have time to make sure everything's perfect for you. So hopefully that will be something that's exciting to you. Again, you'll find that listing in the shop, and I will link to it in the show notes. Additionally, I am going to be doing a huge drop on Monday of in-stock colorways, ready to ship, or almost ready to ship. Excuse me, I have a lot of stuff in process. It may not all be completely ready to go on Monday, but within a week or so it will go out. Most of those things are going to be colorways for my Yesteryear series that I'm doing this year. My Yesteryear series includes colorways that are from way back in my dye catalog. I've been dyeing since my 15th year, and leading up to my 15th anniversary, I am bringing back old colorways that, if you're newer to my yarns, you may never have seen before, or you may never have had the opportunity to purchase. And so I'm bringing those back. I did one round of those earlier this year. This is the second round. It does have more, and I'm going to show the colorways to you in just a second. The only difference between that one and this one is I'm not putting them up as dye to orders right now. Like, I will have the in-stock skeins, which are definitely limited, but I will put dye to orders up for all those after I return from my trip in mid-September. I just can't do more dye to order stuff right now before I leave. So that's the only thing. So if you see something you like, you aren't able to get it when I do the update on Monday, don't fear, you will have an opportunity to get it after I get back from my trip in September. So let me show you the colorways that I'm going to be putting up on Monday. Some of them are really, really old, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about them right now just because that will take so much time. But two of my oldest colorways from way back in the first couple of years of dyeing are these two. This one is called Reese's Pieces, and this is called Good and Plenty. Obviously, they were both inspired by candy. These were so popular. I can't tell you how many skeins of these I dyed. And what's really interesting to me is, like, back in the day when I first started dyeing self-striping, it was all 2 and 3 stripe colorways. I did not branch out into more stripes until at least into the second year, further into the second, third year. That's when I really started expanding. But even just the 2 stripe, 3 stripe colorways, and these are both 3 stripes, obviously, they were very popular. There were not a lot of indie dyers doing self-striping back at that time either, though, so maybe that was why. But, you know, it was just fun, and that was where I got my start with those. And then I moved on to more stripes, and we got this one. This was a 6 stripe colorway. It still is. It's called Fruit Loops, and oh my gosh, this was probably my first colorway that I ever had really go crazy. Like, people wanted this, and I dyed this for so long. And what's really fun about this now, coming back to it, you know, back when I first started dyeing this, I didn't have as many yarn bases as I have now. So it's really fun to revisit these colorways on bases that were not an option for me to dye back then. So that's exciting. So yeah, Fruit Loops. Are you sensing a theme here? This food theme. It's not the only one either. There's more food themed colorways coming. This one, I wanted to do some fall colorways too. This is called Pumpkin Spice Swirl. Now this one is not nearly as old as either of those in my catalog. And this is what this one looks like knit up. I did do a sample because I actually dyed Pumpkin Spice Swirl in a couple of different ways over the years. So this is how this one will stripe up. It's a 3 striper. I mean, even though it's a newer colorway, relatively speaking, but this was when I first started doing like variegated stripes and speckled stripes. So that gave it an added twist. So this is Pumpkin Spice Swirl. And then couple of others that are 3 stripers, and these two are newer in the catalog. I want to say these are probably like 2017, 2018. The listing will actually have what year they came out. Anyway, these are also 3 stripes, and they look like this. So these are 2 semi-solid stripes with a speckled stripe in the middle, and this one is Hypothesis, and this one is Glow. This one's colors are, the semi-solid stripes are Toxic Green and Pickle Juice Yellow, and then the speckles are both of those colors plus, let's see, where is it? Where is there a spot where you can really see it? Here. Aqua Shock Blue is in there. So the listing will have a better picture showing you what that stripe looks like. So there are those, and then the last Yesteryear colorway that'll be in the shop will be my Mountain House Autumn colorway. And my Mountain House colorways were ones that I started doing when I moved up here after Bill and I got married, and I moved to the Mountain House. And so I did one for each season, and this is the autumn version. So I think I might have a picture of some socks that I knit out of this colorway back in the day. So it's 6 set stripes also. So there will be some of that. Again, these will be in stock, ready to ship or nearly ready to ship. They may be a week to 10 days out, but they will all definitely ship before I leave on my trip. So those are Yesteryear. Now, I also have some new colorways that will be in the shop. Very limited quantities, but I wanted to get them a little bit of them out there for you since they are also seasonal. And again, these will all be available in greater quantity once I get back from my trip. So 2 of them are 2 new Expanded Inversibles color combinations, and this one is Autumn Vibes. So obviously, favorite autumn colors. Here is a mock-up of what that one will stripe like. So my Inversibles, if you're not familiar, 250-gram skeins with the striping pattern inversed. The colors are inversed in the stripe widths from one to another. So you get a pair of matchy socks, but not quite matchy socks, or whatever you choose to knit with it. So this is Autumn Vibes. And then the other one is Halloween Vibes, classic Halloween. Oh my gosh. Love this color combination. I did knit up a sample for that. So that, geez, are we gonna, okay. Here's how they look. So I'm very excited about the Halloween one. You know, I love Halloween. So anyway, those will both be in the shop. Limited sets available that I can ship out to you, but there will be more come fall or come mid-September. The last one is related to the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party, which my company, Fiber Nymph Dye Works, is going to be a pro shop sponsor for again this year. Very excited about that. I love Jen's events. They're always wonderful, her make-alongs. I will link to the information about the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party in the show notes if you're not familiar. Anyway, as a pro shop sponsor, I get to do exclusive colorways if I want to, and I'm planning to do 2 of them this year. Now, I am very hopeful that I am going to have, well, I am going to have these in the shop on Monday. However, these are almost certainly not going to be ready to ship. They will ship, though, within 2 weeks, definitely before I go away. I just have to put that out there so you know. And I always specify shipping times in my listings if it's going to be anything other than my average 2 to 5 days. Anyway, the first exclusive colorway is this, and I'm calling it Kicking Up Leaves. And I don't know why I'm holding it this way. Anyway, here's what it looks like on Mountain Tweed. This is the samples knit on Bounce. So here is my vision that was my inspiration for this colorway. Okay, it's fall. You go outside in the morning, it's early, maybe it rained a little overnight, it's chilly, but it's starting to warm up so you get a little bit of a mist. Or maybe it's a little bit foggy and you decide you're going to go for a walk and you're walking down your path in the woods and you're kicking up all those colorful leaves that are falling off the trees. That was my vision. So what we've got here is 4 very quintessential autumn colorways. They're a little muted in this colorway, and then the color in between them is a variegated stripe of sort of a muted, very light grayish and a mossy green. So it's sort of this green, but much lighter. So that's the variegated stripe in there. And that's Kicking Up Leaves. So again, there will be a set number of these self-striping skeins available in the shop on Monday. Come mid-September, I will have them more of them available, and I will also be doing mini skein sets, and they will be available on fiber at that time as well. That mini skein sets and fiber will not be available now. It will just be the self-striping. So there you go. That is what's going to be in the shop on Monday. Again, I appreciate your patience and understanding, realizing that I'm trying to get a whole lot done and ready to go and ship before I go away. So if there is a note about a delayed shipment period, just know that I will be getting things out as soon as possible. Okay. All right. With regard to die to order items, as you know, I have a lot of die to order items in my shop all the time that I've started doing so that you can always have something that you want. If you have something that you want, but you don't need it now, you know, you can come back to the shop and choose it later on. I also have like die to order semi-solids and full skeins and half skeins and mini skeins and things like that. Those items are going to be temporarily out of the shop. I'm going to be taking those down over this weekend. So I would say probably by midday on Sunday, those are going to be gone. Only because, again, I'm going to be away for 3 weeks. I'm not going to be in the studio, and I have a limited amount of time between now and when I do leave to dye up die to orders. So I don't want you ordering something that I can't get done before I leave, and then you have to wait like an extra 3 or 4 weeks for it. That just wouldn't be fair. So I am temporarily taking down my main die to order catalog, but it will be back in September, like when I get back from my trip. So just don't be afraid. If you come to the shop and you see, it's not there, it'll be back. I think that is everything. I know I went through that pretty fast, but again, I didn't want to spend half the podcast going over that, and hopefully if that wasn't of interest to you, you just jumped ahead to the next item anyway. As always, please be subscribed to my newsletter. That is the best way to know what is going in my shop and when, and yeah, that's the best thing you can do. So, okay, let's get to the crafting, shall we? Lots to show you. When I talked to you last time, I was working on a hat for my daughter's one roommate. I did finish that hat. It has since been gifted. So here is a picture of Heaven wearing their hat. They very much liked it. That was a hat that I knit out of Malabrigo Rios in the, what color was that? Piedras colorway. It was my own recipe for the hat. It was 5 inches of 2x2 ribbing, 7 inches of stockinette, and then decreases. I do have what I did written in the project notes for that, so you can click on that below if you're interested. US 5 needles for the ribbing, US 7 needles for everything else. Easy peasy. It does use up almost a full skein, so that's nice. If you like a slouchy hat, that works out super well. I gave it to Heaven not last weekend, the weekend before, I guess. And, or was it last? No, I guess it was just last weekend because we all went out to breakfast together. That was fun. It was a girls-ish kind of breakfast. Anyway, I gave Heaven their hat, and then the other roommate, Allie, was here as well. And I said, Allie, do you like hats? And she was like, yes, I love hats. I said, would you like a hat? And she's like, yes. And so she tried on Heaven's hat, and it fit fine. I said, if you like that, like I can make you a hat like that. And she was all about that. And so I brought out my stash of Rios. And like, where is it? And she had her pick a skein. I don't know which bag it is in. Maybe it's in this bag. Oh, here it is. Total overkill size of a bag for a hat. It's a Tanny Casey bag, by the way. Yeah, and she picked this colorway, which is Tranquilo, which is like a bluish, purplish, mauve color. Really pretty. And as you can see, I am now just past the ribbing. So I've moved off the US 5s into the US 7s. And we'll do my 7 inches of stockinette and decrease, and we'll have a hat. And so Allie will have a hat. And what was funny was then Emma was here, obviously, and she's like, you know, I would love another hat too. I said, okay. I said, well, actually, I had another hat in mind for you. And she said, oh, okay. And she's, you know, open to just about anything. I did not show her or tell her what it was that I was planning for her, but I will show you. It's not going to be that same hat. I'm actually deviating. I'm going to use this yarn though. So this is some Shopple wool Zauberperlen. And the colorway is Samarkand. I don't know what that means. I bought actually Emma was with me when I bought this. She picked this colorway out, and I originally thought I would make socks for her out of this, but then I realized A, it's not superwash, B, it has no nylon in it, and I'm not making socks out. I know people do, and that's fine. It's not my preference for socks. So I wasn't going to make her socks out of it, and she's not like a shawl person or a cowl person. I did make myself a shawl out of a different color combination of this yarn. This was back in 2023. You might remember it if you were watching then. This is the Herald shawl by Janina somebody. Kalilo? Janina Kalilo. Did I write it down? Yeah. Callio. Janina Callio. Yeah, it's a really nice yarn. I love this yarn. Super fun. Love that bright pop that you get with that one of the two semi-solids. So I'm going to do the hat same as it ever was by Sarah Jordan, who is Knitwit Designs. She's also a member of our group. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, I think this will be a really fun use for this. And I may actually take this project away with me on vacation because it'll be an easy project to work on, and the balls are already all wound up. So what's not to love about that? Yeah, I think that's probably my plan. It's not like her birthday's coming up before I go away, but I already have socks for her birthday, so she doesn't need the hat. Yeah. So that'll probably be a fall. Like I don't know that I'll wait till Christmas to give it to her since everybody else is getting a hat now. I'm gonna take this off or I'm gonna start to get warm. It's really a lovely temperature today though. It's not, it was humid when I first came out here, but now it's not even feeling humid, so that's nice. Okay, so that's the roommate hats. That's what I really feel like I should call them. Honestly though, she was looking at the my daughter was looking at the Rios skeins and she's like, any one of those. I would love any one of those. So I could actually do one of those for her too, because the original hat that I did in that whole 5 inches of ribbing, that was one I told you I made like 10 years ago, not originally for her, but I ended up giving it to her and she loves it. And so I could make her another one of those too. We'll see. Maybe I will do that too. Because I've got a couple skeins of Rios that she also picked out. So anyway, that's all the hats. Oh, that's not all the hats. I'm sorry, I lied. There is one more hat that I have been working on, and that was is my August charity hat, which is another one of those hats though. It's the same dealio. 5 inches of ribbing, although looking at this looks like it's a little bit more than 5 inches. I maybe went a little too far, but whatever. It's my charity hat. If this yarn looks somewhat familiar, although it is skewing orange, it's not this orange of a red. This is the leftover yarn from that crocheted lace top that I made earlier this year, that I finished earlier this year. I think this is the last of that yarn, unless I have a skein or two somewhere that I never even wound into a cake or ball. Then I have more, but I really just kind of wanted to use this up, and it was in the project bag still, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to cast on a hat. So I'm holding it double because it's fingering weight, so held double, it's basically a DK. So I'm doing, you know, my basic DK thing, and I've sort of been working on it like at night while we're watching TV or something. Although now that I've started Allie's hat, I'm working more on that because I'd rather get that done for her. This will get done eventually. Now the only problem with this as a charity hat is it is a non-superwash. I don't usually use non-superwash for charity knits, but as a member of our group in Ravelry mentioned, it was Pam. Hi Pam. At least I'm pretty sure it was Pam. She just said, you know, she puts a note, attaches a note or a tag to her charity knits and lets people know like what it's made out of, how to care for it. And so I'll probably do that and it'll be fine. Or somebody else in my life may decide to claim that hat and it won't even be an issue. You never know. Okay, that's all the hats. With regard to the roommates, though, I do have socks. I showed you that I had started. The roommate who already got the hat that I did make is also, they will be getting socks for their birthday in September. And so the first sock is done. This was my Pie Day colorway this year, which is Kawaii Pie. And the first sock is finished. Isn't it fun? So bright. I love these colors. And the second one is cast on, but just. Anytime I finish a sock, I really like casting the second sock on right away because it helps eliminate that second sock syndrome thing, which I don't really suffer from, but it's just always nice to get that second one on all of a sudden. Or all of a sudden, right away. I don't know why I'm saying all of a sudden. I think it's because my brain was thinking, oh, all of a sudden it's really bright, and that's because the sun came out and our RV is parked right here, and so the light color of the RV is reflecting. It's sort of like a, what are those things called that they use in lighting? I should know this. For photography and things. You know, you're shouting it. Anyway, whatever. Enjoy the brightness of the light right now, because it will go away as soon as the sun goes in. All right, and that's just my usual 2x1 rib hat, sock, slip stitch heel flap and gusset. I'm not using a contrasting color for the heel this time, just using the pie colorway. US 1 needles, and this bag is this is an old Star Knits bag. Isn't it cute though? Those little hedgies and the mushrooms, love that. So there is that. Okay. What else? That's everything that I'm actively working on. I do have, however, 3 other projects that okay, that's not true. I have a lot. Like right now, my nemesis is Ooh Shiny. And it's mostly crochet stuff. So I'm going to show you some things that they're not necessarily projects in and of themselves. They're things that I'm playing with to try and figure out what I want to do for upcoming projects, if that makes sense. Okay, so one of which, this is something that I saw a video for Fiberflex, who I talk about all the time. I love her crochet videos, tutorials. She had this pattern, which she was calling a trivet. I think they're too small to be a trivet, quite frankly, but they would make a nice little coaster. And so I took all of this yarn with me whenever we went on that motorcycle weekend that we went on right after I recorded last time. I had a bunch of this. This is Hobby Cotton. I can't remember what the full name of it is. It'll be in the project pages, but it's like I think a 6/8 cotton maybe. And I have a whole bunch of colors. I bought them whenever I was on that kick for making wind spinners last year, and then I made the wind spinners all out of like leftovers and stash. Then I bought all this yarn thinking I was going to make a bunch more and never did. So I have all this great cotton. But anyway, so I started making those, and I did try to seam these together. I did these while I was away at that weekend. And I tried to kind of seam them into a square to make a trivet, but I was working on my lap and it did not line up well, and it was a mess. So that's why they're all a little misshapen at this point, because I've had to rip them out from being seamed together. But then I started another one, and I thought I will make a bigger one that I can use as a mat on this Lazy Susan that I keep on my piano, that I keep like a candle on, and I have a dish with my notions and different things like that are on there. I thought, but I'm going to need to make it bigger. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to have to size up in stitch count. But I really didn't need to do what I did, because right here, this orange section, this should all be 2 double crochets in each of these spots, and I did 3, and that threw it off. It got all wibbly wobbly because the bigger I went, it just got more and more wavy, which is always my problem when I'm crocheting circles. And so I'm in the process right now of ripping back, and I need to rip back so I can rip out that orange and then do it correctly according to the pattern, because I think the way the pattern is written, each time you do this round, that's where you're getting your increases, and I think it'll be fine if I just do it according to how the pattern was written. A really fun thing, I had never used Hobby Yarn before. Um, it had, I don't know if all of their yarns are like this or just the cotton, but the balls had this little tag on them. Start easy start. So you just pull that and you get the center pull. Fabulous. Love that. So anyway, I kind of stalled on this because I do have to rip, but I'll probably finish it because it's fun. It's pretty. Anyway, so that was one thing I tried. And then, oh, the other thing, which I showed you last time, the little fingering weight coaster is what it ended up being. I decided to try that same thing again, but with heavier weight yarns. And so this is some LRA Classic, I think, that I have in my stash. And I did some of these little solid granny squares, and I was working on trying to get better at this join technique, which the corners are still the hard part. This corner I did a little bit better. It looks a little neater than this one, but I'm still fascinated by this join as you go technique. I think I probably should have gone up a hook size for working with this weight of yarn because it feels really dense and bunchy. But it's not a thing. It's just, it was a swatch to practice a technique. So there's that. Then I can't remember if I was talking to you about it or if this, I know I talked in a members video, the July members video. I talked at length about this next thing. I was watching a video by a YouTube creator a knitting podcast that I had never watched anything from her before, but it was a video like 10 easy mindless projects or something. And one of the projects was a blanket project, a pattern called Little Knitted Squares by someone, Julie Harrison is the designer. And basically it's this. Okay, now I'm not sure if I'm holding it the correct way or not. Maybe it doesn't matter. But basically it's garter. So you're doing this main color garter stitch section, and then you do a square of garter stitch in a color. Now I was doing this with just scraps, and it was supposed to be DK weight. I was holding 2 strands of fingering weight together. And so you do your square, your colored square, and then you do your next strip of main color. And then basically what this is you are working this in strips. So there would be like, main color bit, colored square, main color bit, next colored square, main color bit, and so on until you get your strip as long as you want your blanket to be. And you do however many of those strips you want for your width, and then you end up joining them widthwise with garter stitch running this way, and like you're picking up along one edge, knitting garter stitch, and then picking up the next strip. I did not buy the pattern, but looking at it, I could pretty well tell, I think, how it was done, so I just winged it. And I think I did okay. The pickup looks pretty neat on there. I had slipped each first stitch on each right side row. Well, no, I slipped each first stitch of each row. So I had a good edge to pick up. It's a little, I don't know, it's not blocked. So it's raised a little bit. But I obviously did not do long strips. I just did 2 blocks and then tried the join technique to see how it would go. And it was okay. But when I did look this up on Ravelry, I realized she had 2 patterns that were basically the same. I'm like, well, that's weird. And then I realized, no, they're not the same. The Little Knitted Squares one is knitted, but the first one, which I'm assuming maybe was the original one, is a crocheted one. And it's just called Little Squares. And it is made with a linen stitch, a linen crochet stitch, which I'd never done before. But I did a search on YouTube for how to do it, and it's super easy. And so I practiced that. And oh my gosh, I love it. I love this one so much more than the garter stitch one. So I think this is going to be a winner for an upcoming project for me. But anyway, again, I didn't do it the way I would do it if I was doing an actual blanket. You would do strips, like vertical strips. I was just doing individual squares so that I could practice figuring out how to do the join. Because again, I did not buy the pattern. I have no problem buying a pattern from a designer. I'm a designer. I like when people buy my patterns, but like if it's a super simple pattern and you can look at it and you have the skills and knowledge, like I don't really feel bad also about just winging it. Nor would I feel bad if somebody looked at one of my patterns and said, I can figure out how she did that, and just make it yourself. Now, if you're going to sell it as your own pattern, that is an ethical dilemma there. I wouldn't do that. But you know what I mean? Like, we've all, I'm sure, looked at things and said, oh, I can figure out how to do that, or something similar enough. Now, honestly, I do not know how this designer does her joins with the strips. I'm just guessing based on what I know and what I've done in the past with things. But this worked, and it, you know, it looks nice in the back. I actually like the crochet back better than the knitted version. And let's see, this one I did really neatly. This one is a little messier. It's not on the green side. It's a little wonky. But anyway, so I did that. And then, okay, so let me stop right there because this is where it ties into future projects. Number one, my daughter's 2 roommates, I've mentioned before that I want to make each of them a blanket for Christmas. And I'm not talking like big queen size bed size blanket, just like a single person, you know, nice blanket that you can curl up in when you're watching TV or whatever, right? And my original thought was I was going to crochet them. I was going to do corner to quarter blankets for them in their favorite colors, easy peasy. Well, then I started thinking about it, and of course I did because I have to make everything more difficult. I started thinking, Emma had told me the one roommate really likes sunflowers and sunflower colors. And I thought, oh, that'd be awesome. Oh, butterfly. Anyway, sorry. Sunflower colors. And so I started thinking, oh, it would be super fun to do this for her in sunflower colors using fingering weight from my stash, because I've got lots of like partial skeins, leftovers, some variegated. I could pull all that out, hold 2 together, and have just a whole patchwork of these squares in sunflower colors. And then I would just dye the main color, because I'm pretty sure I don't have any one main color that I could use for these borders. But that wouldn't be a big deal. I could do that. And I would like to do it 2 fingering weights held together because I really like the texture you get with that, and especially whenever you're using 2 colors that are not quite the same. That marled effect is so pretty. I love that. And then I thought, again, because let's make it a little more complicated, wouldn't it be cool if I also incorporated some granny squares, the sunflower granny squares? Like, I'll show you a picture. This is the pattern I'm probably going to use for it. I did try to make one just based off of a video that I found. It's not for that one. It turned out terribly. The size hook I was using for the yarn, it just didn't turn out. And I'm not sure if doing this with 2 fingering weights held together is the best option. This I might do with actual DK for the sunflower part, and then do, you know, the border part the same as the rest of it. But wouldn't that be fun? I could do different combinations of sunflower colors, and then put those in just every so often, like obviously like with a border to make it all the same. To do that though, I would need to do all of my sunflower squares first, because they would be the ones that would say what size the other squares would be, and that linen stitch square is very easily adjustable size wise. So these would dictate the size of the square, and this isn't, I mean, it needs another round before it would be done anyway. And then I would have this. So I think it would be so much fun. That is my plan. That is my tentative plan in my brain for how to do the one person's blanket. Yay. And this was just a little one that I kind of started without looking at any video and realized I didn't know what I was doing. So, okay. So there's that one. And then the other roommate's blanket, I'm still thinking corner to corner. I'm still thinking probably Lord of the Rings colors, Hobbit, Shire specific colors, but I haven't gotten any further than that. But I think I'm only going to work on one blanket at a time anyway, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of slack on that. Meanwhile, with regard to other projects that I would like to do, there is a cardigan pattern that I came across that I absolutely love. And here it is. It's called the Cascade Mountain Cardigan by MJ's something, something, something. MJ's Off the Hook Designs. Matter of fact, she is also the one who designed that sunflower thing that I put in here a minute ago. MJ's Off the Hook Designs. And I love that cardigan. It's beautiful. And the fact that it's all garter is like, yes, I love crocheting garter stitch. However, I don't have any of that yarn that she used. I think it's kind of, I don't know that it's mandala, but it's a mandala-like kind of yarn. But I originally thought, well, I have a lot of Noro, like Silk Garden and Kurion in just various colors, because I used to rescue that anytime I would see it in a yarn shop and it was like, you know, in the discount bin or something, I would buy it because I do like that yarn. And then I looked at my stash of that and I'm like, number one, I don't think I have enough to do that sweater, and number two, those colors would look wackadoodle together. And I didn't have a good solid color that would go with it, either yarn wise or color wise. Okay, so then as I'm going through my stash, I realized I have these 7 skeins of Blacker Yarns Cove, which was their 16th year anniversary yarn from 2020, and I bought 7 colors. I used to buy Blacker's birthday yarn every year for several years because their birthday yarns always came out around my birthday, so it was sort of my treat for myself. Anyway, I had bought this Cove yarn and I never did anything with it, and I thought this would be absolutely perfect for this sweater. So even though I'm not using like a color changing yarn, I can do the color changes myself. And I thought I could change up those granny squares that are along the spine in the back. I could change those up to be each one a little bit different. And then I could just stripe it however I wanted to. I could do my own color management. And then when I was started to think about a sunflower square, I thought, why couldn't I do those squares as granny sunflower squares, except in those colors, rather than just plain old squares? I might do that. So that's a possibility. Anyway, I have caked up all of my, did I already put the, okay, if I didn't already put the yarn picture in here, I'll put it in here. I have caked up all of those skeins. They're very big. That's why I didn't bring them out here. And they're fingering weight though. The Cove is fingering. It did come in a heavier weight, but I bought the fingering weight. However, it is crochet, and crochet is so malleable in that way. It's so easy to change things up. You just change hook size and then you crochet until you get the size you want. It's so much easier to modify, I find, than knitting personally. Yeah, so I think I'm going to work on that too. When I will start that, I do not know, because I really want to finish the one roommate hat, the other roommate's birthday socks. I want to get those done before I go away. And I would like to get my August charity hat done, just to have it done. So those are things I would definitely like to do. And then I would also like to start the sunflower themed blanket. Those are my top priorities, more so than a cardigan for myself, though I really, really would like that cardigan. So stay tuned on all of that. We'll see where that goes and how that all falls out. I think that's everything for projects though. It seems like a lot. I did actually sit and spin for like a half hour one night when I couldn't sleep, and that's all the spinning I've done. Someday I'll spin again. All right. Let's move on. Choose Your Own Adventure Make-Along. That is still going on. It's going on all this year. Please feel free to join in. I will link all the things so that you know about it. You can take part on Ravelry in our group if you would like to. You can take part on Instagram if you're not on Ravelry. You can take part in both places. All of the information will be in the show notes or linked in the show notes. I don't really have anything super exciting to share about my progress, other than the fact I'm doing a really good job of using Stash this year. I am really using Stash. That's awesome. I do have a new recipe that I tried, which is sort of laughable because it's super easy, but one of my goals, if you're not familiar, is I'm trying to do a new recipe one a week, which I have not done. I think I'm only up to 19 right now. But last night I made French fries. I know, super exciting, right? But they were out of actual potatoes, not from my garden. My garden potatoes aren't ready yet. But I had 2 potatoes left, and I was making big salads. And if you're from Pittsburgh, you put French fries on salads. And so I usually have a bag of frozen fries in the freezer specifically for doing salads. But I didn't have any, but I had these 2 potatoes, so I thought, I wonder if I could make them in the air fryer rather than like pan frying them or oven frying them. And so I looked, and lo and behold, there is an air fryer recipe for French fries. It was from Natasha's Kitchen. It was super easy. They turned out really good. They were not super crispy like deep fried fries are going to be, but that could have been me skipping a step because I did not soak them in salt water, and I don't know if that would have made a difference or not. I try not to add salt to my cooking because Bill does not like to have added salt in his food. He has blood pressure issues to begin with and kidney failure issues lurking in the wings as related to the blood pressure thing. So I try not to cook with salt. Anyway, so yeah, but they were really good. So I will put that link in the show notes. And tonight I am planning to make a recipe using some of the yellow squash from my garden because suddenly they are starting to really produce. And 2 of them I found were larger than they probably needed to be. I could have picked them earlier, but they were hiding because there's a lot of leaves. So I'm going to make yellow squash tots tonight, which they're basically tater tots except you use yellow squash. So we'll see how they turn out. I have no idea. I've never made my own tots of any kind, but you bake those. They're not in air. I guess I could probably do them in the air fryer, but I'm going to do them in the oven on a cookie sheet. So I'll let you know how those turn out. Other than that, I think we're just down to life stuff. Bill and I did go away on our long weekend right after I recorded last time. We have a motorcycle event we go to every year. It was a basically nice weekend. We didn't get rained on as much as I thought we were going to. Bill did get a little muddy because he did the off-road portion. I did the on-road portion. I took my new bike, my Can-Am Canyon, and gave me a chance to really put some miles on. I think I did about 600 miles. And got a really good feel for driving it, which was really positive since that's the bike I'm going to be riding on our vacation coming up in a few weeks. We came home from that weekend, and the first thing I found in my mail was a recall notice. Oh my gosh, just bought this bike. Safety recall for a part that apparently is failing without notice and causing a catastrophic failure when it does. Awesome. So been talking to the dealership about getting that taken care of. Really, fingers crossed, cross everything for me if you would, that I'm going to be able to get that fixed in the next week. I think the part should be in this week, so hoping. Anyway, so yeah, that's going on. Vacation, we will be gone for 23 days. That is such a long trip, guys. Oh my gosh. The 3-week aspect of it gives me anxiety. I don't like going away for that long. I feel like I'm leaving my garden behind. Tons of tomatoes are going to be ready to deal with. I'm leaving my business behind. I cannot ship anything out for 3 weeks. I mean, I'm self-employed. I keep reminding him, I don't get paid vacation. Like, if I'm not here and I'm not working, I'm not getting paid, you know? So, but on the flip side of that, like, he is retired. He has earned this ability to do this after many years of hard work, and he wants me to be with him. And so this is what I'm doing, and I know I will enjoy it. Anyway, that's that. I'm sure I'll talk to you a little bit more about the trip as we get closer, because I do hope to be able to record one more episode before we go away. Yeah, that's my plan anyway. And there will be a members video before I go away as well. So that's it. I think I've wrapped it up, and I've actually done it more succinctly than my other few times that I've tried to record this. So I'm going to go so I can get started on the editing. I hope you are doing well, and I hope you are having a wonderful August with whatever is going on in your August. Do you still have vacation coming up? Are your kids back to school already? I know some people's kids are already back to school, which always seems so early to me because here in southwestern PA, schools never start until like the last week of August at the earliest. At least they never used to. I've been out of that game for a very long time, so I don't really know. Yeah, anyway, how's your garden? Are you having a good garden year? Are you captivated by anything that you've seen that you've been trying out and just doing lots and lots of playing? You know, I sometimes I feel bad that I'm spending so much time just playing like this, but honestly, it's beneficial. You learn things by playing, right? You learn things by playing and trying new stuff. It's all worthwhile. So, anyway, I'm going to go. Before I go, I want to say thank you to my members. I couldn't do this without you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. And all of you who watch, thank you so much for being here and for leaving comments and thumbs up and all of that. Subscribe so you know when new videos go up. Be subscribed to my newsletter if you want to know what's going on in the shop, please. That's the best way to do it. I do send out 1 newsletter a week these days on average, sometimes 2 if there's extra stuff going on, but usually only 1. Yeah, I just like to stay in touch. So anyway, take care until next time. Be well. Bye.